Jimmy's Jam Box. Keep jamming. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jam Box. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And now let's go ahead and see who's today's guest.
I'm LowTow.
I'm Knox.
We're a hollow world.
Hell yeah. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves a little bit more one at a time and just like dig on into it. Tell us a little bit about, you know, where you're from, what you do, and what got you into music.
You want to go first?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. My name's Knox. Well, gosh, shoot, dang. I'm from New York originally.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, fun fact. I moved out to Oregon about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I met someone in a Facebook group.
Good start.
Called the Emo Trap Group.
Oh, man, this story's getting better. Keep going.
Yeah. And his name is Lil Too Sad.
Oh,
I love him so
shout
much.
out
He's
Lil
like my
Too
brother.
Sad.
Big shout out Lil Too Sad. I
Hell
love
yeah.
Lil
Shout
Too
out.
Sad.
Shout out, bro.
I was communicating with him for literally like 2 weeks. I was originally in a boom bap group called Grime Wave in New York, and I was talking to him for like 2 weeks, had him mix a couple of my vocals, and he was like,
and you were just like,
should
this is
move
it.
out here.
Yep.
And I was like living in New York, working as an insurance agent, and I was like, I fucking hate my life. So hell yeah, I will absolutely move out to Oregon.
Hell yeah.
And I just, hopped on a fucking plane and moved out here. Didn't really know anyone except for him, and kind of LowTow was like one of the first people I met when I moved out here. So I don't know. It just kind of all made sense. It all just kind of came together about like 2 months ago when we like really started like locking in together. We just like realized after the first time that we worked together that like we have like a really cohesive like studio energy like
Hell yeah.
with each other.
Yeah.
So it's just like he's super easy to work with. So, and I appreciate the fuck out of that. I've met a lot of like definitely like weird ass people since I've moved out here in the music scene.
There's some interesting folk.
Yeah.
There'd be some interesting folk.
Yeah. So it was a breath of fresh air.
Hell yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I like originally from Southern California, and then just kind of moved all over the place a lot. And then I came to Portland like 7 years ago, I think. And when I first came into the scene, like prior to that, I was like living in my car, and I was like just going hard making beats like every day, trying to like hone in my craft on that. I wasn't even sure if I was really even gonna like be like a performer type beat. And then I came up to Portland, and then I had like just found a couple like local spots that were like, having like local artists perform at and stuff. And so I was going to local shows, and I was just trying to tap in with everybody and just like be like, hey, like I'll give you free beats, like come fuck with me, type shit. And so for a long time, I was kind of just doing like free work. I was giving out free beats to local artists and DJing their shows for free and running sound for free and all this kind of stuff. And then I started getting into performing, and then I was kind of just like, hey, like I'll keep, doing this stuff for you, but like, it's like, give me a set on your next show.
Oh,
and
okay.
everything. And for a long time, everyone was like, oh yeah, bro, I got you, bro. And then they just never, came through. And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I gotta stop.
Yeah.
Giving away all my work for free, and start establishing myself as like an artist that is here and present and like and equal with everybody. And the first show that I got like booked on, like I just like went as hard as I could to like capture everyone's attention. And everyone started dapping me up afterwards, and it was just like, yo, bro, like, I didn't even know you did all that, and all that and everything. So it's like, yeah, it was cool. But I met Knox through a show that we put on, and it was really funny because there's this big gated area in the back, and that's how we all got in. Well, me and my crew showed up first, and then the venue owner took off. And
oh boy, that's how you know it's gonna be. That's how you know it's gonna be good.
Yeah, and they locked the gate, and we could not find the key. And so when Knox and his crew show up, they're locked outside, and they're like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Shit. And so we're like, me and my people are like inside. We're literally scrambling, looking through the whole venue, like going into like the backstage
through the fucking
area.
gate.
Yeah, areas like trying to find the key and everything. And we're like calling the venue owner, and she's just like off somewhere doing some shit. And then people were like lining up outside and then left because they're like, oh, I guess there's not a show.
Wow, bullshit.
Yeah. And so we finally get the key, or someone who works with the studio comes and gets and like opens shit up, and then we like go to do the show. But now we're literally just performing to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everyone's
Damn.
gone and everything. But I mean, like I was listening to everyone's sets, and I was like, God damn, like fucking, like everyone's like fucking killing it and everything. And then I can't remember if I reached out to him or he reached out to me, but we were just like, we got to work, you know. Yeah. And we came through, and we made a song at my crib.
Pack of White Claws.
Yeah, off a Pack of White Claws. And we just vibed. It was like,
I thought that was the name of the group.
Yeah, no, it was just effortless. It was like,
For the record, Pack of White Claws. If that's not taken yet,
yeah.
Somebody could be that.
Yeah,
that's like a sick fucking frat jam band,
right? Right? There you go.
But yeah, and then a bunch of shit happened later on in the scene, and we kind of felt like we were kind of like not really a part of it anymore, and we were like, we got to do something, and so I came over to his crib, and we were just hanging out, and I had my computer with me, and I was like showing him some beats, and then we just went and recorded a track, and again it was just like I didn't have to like sit and write anything down. I just stepped to the mic and we just started going, and it was like and I don't get that energy with other people I work with, and so we did like a couple more tracks after that, and he hit me up and he was like, we should like try to start like a collective and like try to like reintegrate into the scene and everything, and like just find the people that like we fuck with the most, and we'll just like start working together and start putting on shows and all that. And I was feeling it at first, but then I kind of stopped and thought about it, because like I have been in multiple collectives at this point, and like collectives are like cool when you first start out because everyone's feeling it right in that moment, but being in a collective takes a lot of work from everybody. Yeah. And what often happens is 2-3 people will be all about it, and everyone else is kind of like halfway fucking with it, and there's some people who straight up just like don't even give a fuck.
Maintaining consistent passion, like with a group of people like 5 or 6, that's difficult. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's why when I first started making music, I was in a hardcore band and a pop punk band and stuff, and like all that shit fizzled out because like I was like the only one who really believed that we could do something with it, and everyone else thought it was just like something fun to do. Yeah. So I was like, rather than start a collective, I mean, like me and you are just working so effortlessly right now. Like, let's just like start like a rap duo. Okay. Yeah. And and then he was like, fuck yeah, and so we started like sending each other like idea names and everything. And like I just went and recorded a track in my homie's place, and I had like 5 Bleach references in that song. I don't know why. I was really feeling Bleach that day. Yeah. And he had suggested the name Hollow Twins,
And I was like, that's hard. But what about Hollow World?
Yo.
It was just like,
yep.
Hueco Mundo, you know?
Yeah.
I see, it's funny, you just answered one of the later questions, which is how'd y'all pick your name?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, that's how we picked our name.
Hell yeah. Now, we're gonna knock out a couple of the early questions because I definitely want to dive into a lot more of like the structure and the foundation. You know, it's not every day we get multiple people who work together on music on the show. It's still kind of a newer experience. So I'm really looking forward to diving into that. But there's still a couple foundation questions I definitely want to get out of the way. So we haven't baked into here. And we're gonna jump right to like a big one. This is a fun one. It's one we ask early. It's one we ask often. It's definitely a crowd favorite.
Cool.
What was the first album you bought with your own money?
Let me answer that first. I remember I was adopted, so I grew up with like my adopted parents and my like cousin who was like my adopted mom's brother's son. And yeah, I was I had him buy me a copy of 50 Cent Bulletproof.
Okay.
Behind my parents' back.
Okay.
So that was my first album that I ever
surprise
paid
mom and
for
dad.
with my own money. Yeah. He put me onto it because he would always like play Def Jam Vendetta with me.
Okay.
And 50 Cent was hella on that. So
I've mentioned this a few other times, so this isn't like breaking news, but the first album I ever bought with my own money was the Carter one.
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I could still do the entire intro. That's not a joke. I'll do it for you off camera if you remember and ask me after. But 100% big fan of that album to this day.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah. The first album that I remember having as a kid.
Well, more specifically, which was the first one you bought with your own money that you had to make the choice to go and purchase?
Well, I did answer this question in the past.
Yes.
But it was, and I still don't like fully remember. I know one of them was Second Law by Muse. Cause prior to that I had just heard that one like track for Muse that got really big that was like the Riot song or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
The riff or whatever. Yeah, and I thought that shit was hard, so I got that. And the whole album sounded fucking nothing like that song at all, so I was like, rip. It's still a good album.
All right.
You got catfished.
I got catfished.
You got single fished.
I got single fished. Yeah, that's a great way to put that.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other one was Kings of Leon album. I remember what it was called. I was really big into like more like alternative hipster indie kind of like type bands back then. And
You strike me as the biggest hipster.
I
The first thing I thought when I saw you was like, look at this guy. Super hipster.
I'm trying to come off like a hard ass nigga,
But I still I still cuff my pants. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's not me. But
There's suspenders under the shirt. Sorry, please keep going.
and then there's a third album that I bought like all at once. I don't remember what it was. It might have been Neighborhoods by Blink-182.
Okay. All of these seem very on brand.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know we've asked you that before, but I wanted to have it baked into this.
Yeah,
and we've got one more like foundation question, and we'll lead with you on this one again. What was the first show that you ever went to that like you actively wanted to go to? It's not like one that like mom and dad took you to when you were a kid, but what was that first one you were like, I want to go to this, and you went and saw it? And I'm so excited for this answer now.
I was like 15 years old, and Are you ready for this fucking lineup right here?
Oh shit.
Oh, here we go.
Avenged Sevenfold.
Nice.
3 Days Grace.
Yep.
And Seven Dust.
Seven Dust. God
Yo.
damn.
Damn.
I'm not gonna lie, that shit was fucking like it was the Nightmare tour, right? It was when they were doing their Nightmare tour, and like they had a guy, like I specifically remember like in the beginning of their set when they first came out, a guy jumped off the rafters with a noose on his neck. And like he was like obviously all wired up and shit,
Yeah.
but like just seeing that as like a 15-year-old with like my two friends, I was like, yo, that was like I don't even know that like I want to do like those kind of things with like performance art, because like I really do respect that shit. Like that shit is fucking cool, like to me, for real. But yeah.
Yeah. So the very first show that I went to, it was like, well, there's the first show that I went to that I kind of like stumbled upon, and then there's like the first show that like I actually like wanted to go to and like paid for and everything. But that show I stumbled upon, I was like 15, and like I didn't know anyone there. Me and my homies were just walking around town, like didn't have shit to do. And,
As one does when they're 15.
right?
Yeah.
You know, and then we were gonna go to the mall. And
As one does when they're 15.
Right.
This story is also lining up.
Rats.
Yeah.
on par. Y'all remember Borders?
Yeah. That's where I got all my music.
Hell yeah, R.I.P. Borders.
Borders. They had the Yu-Gi-Oh tints too.
Yeah,
Oh, they did.
that's where I got all my Naruto fucking manga. And
That.
stuff.
Yep. That's actually where I got all my. I started with Initial D.
Oh hell yeah!
Yep.
Shouts
Yeah,
out
man.
Initial
Shout out
D.
Initial D.
Okay.
Damn.
But goddamn, in front of the Borders, there was like a local hardcore band playing, and like
Do
you love to read?
That's like a super like what's up Denny's moment.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
God. It was wild too. Like I never listened to hardcore at this point. I didn't even know this was like a genre of music.
Yeah.
Like the hardest thing I
Surprise.
ever heard. Right. The hardest thing I ever heard was like Metallica.
Metallica. I was literally just gonna say Metallica. What the fuck?
And so I loved, you know, metal and stuff. So I was into it. I'm looking around and like at the time I was going to military school, so like I had like a hella dorky ass fucking shaved buzz cut and fucking, you know, just like fucking real good old boy fucking, you know.
I look-y didn't know you went to military school too.
Yeah,
I also didn't know that, I think.
I did. I went to military school. But like I had to. This is the way I had to like dress and everything. Like it's like at home, like at school and everything. It was like very structured. I just looked like a military kid, you know, type shit. But like inside, I knew I was emo as fuck. And like,
Oh God, bro.
My hair swoops inwardly.
exactly.
You had to do the dumbass haircut, but
Yeah.
inside, you wanted it teased and colored.
Yeah, type shit. And like, I'm looking around at all these like kids, and they're like, fucking. There's this one dude who had this hella. He was like shirtless, but had like a fucking vest on that was like cut, like a crop top vest.
A crop top. I
Yeah.
think that's a bikini top, my friend.
Shit.
That is damn near the same shape.
Yeah, I mean, it's badass.
shit.
Though. I was like, goddamn, fucking just like everyone's fits were just like hella crazy.
Just like they didn't give a fuck what other people thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that shit. I thought it was so fucking cool. And like these guys were going so fucking hard. I mean, like literally just like the shittiest little tiny fucking, you know, pocket speakers and fucking. But there's
Exclusively crate amps.
yeah, but you know they're cranked up as loud as they can go and just fucking thrash and fucking and moshing. I've never been in a mosh pit before.
Hell yeah.
But we're fucking.
I would be terrified of you in a mosh pit now. If I saw you coming towards me, I would consider going the other way.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I've either got to go head first into his stomach, hope for the best, or I'm just going to die.
Yeah, I never even seen a mosh pit before. I was just like,
Why are they bumping into each other?
yeah, I was just like, oh my goodness, you know. But yeah, I went in and I was like, fucking this. I was just like, I want to do this with my life. Yeah,
Fuck yeah.
But the first show that
Professional mosher.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But the first like show that I actually like paid for and like really wanted to go to was Suicide Boys.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That was
They put on a hella good performance. Too.
amazing show. I fucking it was crazy. Fucking Germ came out on stage first, and then Scrim and Ruby, and I dapped all of them up. Scrim has the softest hands I ever touched in my life. That nigga oils his hands on guard.
That's on camera, y'all. You heard it here first.
No, I mean, I'm not even disrespecting Scrim or nothing. I was immediately just like taken aback by like how
soft
how
they
lovely
were.
his hands were.
It was like shaking hands with
Damn,
pillows.
Scrim, you got soft hands.
No disrespect.
He got the marshmallow palms, you know what I
No
mean?
disrespect, but like, yeah, nigga has soft ass hands. I was like, I respect it. I
Yeah?
respect it. You gotta be.
I mean, they had
gotta
to have been
stay
soft
moisturized.
because they were soft enough for you to mention it in the future.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'll never forget it.
yeah.
I'll never forget. They brought Denzel Curry out. Denzel Curry when I saw them.
No fucking
Yeah.
way. That's so
What?
fucking sick.
And Fat Nick too, actually, which was hella low.
But Denzel Curry is one of my absolute
Nick.
favorite artists of all time. I fucking
Yeah, no, lyrically he's like really, really pretty up there, honestly. Yeah.
yeah. Go.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Well, now let's go ahead and dive into some artist-focused questions. And these will be mostly like group questions. You know what I mean? And I mean, the first one was obviously, how'd y'all pick your name? But you nailed that one. Just automatically had that on lock. So let's go ahead. And before we talk about the usual second question, which is like the steps of the writing process, let's talk about more like, what do you feel you each bring like influentially? Like, what do you think like how would you describe your roles?
Interesting. I make most of the beats.
I make one of them. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Some of the tracks that we have are like just like beats that we got off from like YouTube and stuff. But we might even like replace those beats with like beats that I make or something. Just like
Honestly,
We can just,
usually
like-
the beats he makes under them are better than the beats that we find
Yeah.
genuinely.
I try. But like, I would say like, Knox will like describe a vibe, and then I just like try to like capture that
Okay.
in a beat, and then like I like do all the mixing and mastering and stuff. So like on the production end of things, like I'm like very much handling that. Knox is just like a vibe master. He just like fucking.
You know, I was about to make the joke. So your role is vibes.
Low-key.
Apparently.
I am like the first one to say that like LowTow does like absolutely like everything like when it comes to our production and like all that kind of stuff. So
That's okay. There's always
you know what I mean?
there's always
Like,
somebody.
Yeah, but-
And like he's really fucking good at it. Always does a good job. And like, yeah, I definitely always just try to like bring my best self, and I just try to make him as comfortable as possible
Hell yeah.
in like our studio sessions as I can. So
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but like Knox is like I'm good at like bringing things together, but like I'm not good at like picking the things to bring
Yeah.
together. You know?
Yeah,
type
once
shit.
you have a jumping off point, you can run with it.
Right.
Knox just has all those jumping off points.
Yeah, Knox has the jumping off.
And then
points,
meets up with you once you've run with it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just the cleanest bars. Like fucking all of our songs.
All right, well, go ahead and do some bars.
Just like all my favorite bars in all of our songs, they're all Knox's bars. They're all so fucking just like I would never thought to say that. That's so hard.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I dig that.
Yeah.
Knox, do you have anything you want to add?
no.
All right. Yeah, I mean, LowTow kind
No.
of ironed
Yeah,
that one out
damn.
pretty well. All right, then let's
Yeah.
dive right into the next question, which is the process. And now, specifically, I want you guys to focus on when you're like in the mood, when you get inspired, what are the first steps you usually take? Like, you know, and I know it's always a little bit different every time, but what are those like core foundation things that you do at the beginning of every song? And then what decides a track is done?
Well, usually it'll be like I'll slide over to his crib, and I'll pull up some beats that I already have, or he'll like, you know, like we should make something like this, and then I'll like try to like whip up something fresh. And then we just go. Like that's kind of like the thing about Hollow World that I love so much is like, as LowTow, for my like personal stuff, I sit and write everything, and I try to like meditate on everything that I'm saying, and like spend a lot of time on that. Like I could finish a song in like a couple days or like in a month, type shit. But with this, it's not that I'm just trying to say like nothing but shallow shit or like just like shit that I don't like care about, but like I'm not trying to like just like beat people over the head with profundity. Like I'm going to the mic and I'm just gonna say whatever the
profundity is a good word. That's a $10 word right there.
Word, yeah, hell yeah.
Like I'm feeling the vibe of like the beat, or just like based off whatever like Knox just said if he went before me, and like I'm just like off the dome. I'm just trying to like say what the fuck I feel like right there. And I've never done this before with any other project really. So like it feels really good to be getting into that zone where like I could go to Knox's crib and I know I'm gonna leave with a song. You know?
Yeah, I think it's honestly just our process started from a place of us just being sick of like dealing with like people who are flaky or people who like don't really like. We just meet in the middle at like our passion for like music and like what like we want to put out, and like we both like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like we know like what like.
I think you nailed it with that sentence you said before. You both kind of meet in the middle.
Yeah.
With like your passion, which is like, I mean, that's actually a really cool way to put it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's just, like what he was saying, like we're just like all love to like all the like, you know, homies and stuff that we hang out with and everything, but like there's just not a lot of consistency.
You know, I think that a lot of people don't always realize that the vibe doesn't just come from like the desire to make music, because we all desire to make music, right. You know what I mean? But I think that there are personality traits that nobody like thinks of. Like you're not like looking for that special someone to make music with, you know what I mean? So when you find it, it's so almost unexpected, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I always have to, I've mentioned this a few times before as well, but my old band, Smooth Talk. Shout out Smooth Talk. Shout out Corey and Bart and Max. Love y'all.
This show was Spiller?
Yeah.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that one after. Yeah. But that just the way we made music was insane. Like we would just sit down and printing press a song in like 2 sessions tops. Like it got to like Corey and I, the guitar player, we just communicated on a level and exactly the same dynamic. I was able to bring him like 30 seconds of a jumping off point of a concept of a song. And when he would leave, we would have 3/4 of a song. Like we couldn't go to that last fourth until we had everybody else there. But like it just happened. And it wasn't because we were like, oh, we have to be better than ever. We have to make this happen.
Right.
No, it was just, hey man, I have this idea. Cool. This is what I think. Okay, cool. Based off of what you think, this is what I think. Like it almost was systematic, but at the same time, we were still hanging out. We were still existing in our elements. Right. You know, like we got to thrive and do the best at what we did because we knew we could look at each other and be like, hey, based off of this idea, what is your idea so I can write my next idea? Like it was very like, let's each set a step along the way. But that communication.
I think one of the coolest things, honestly, about like our process is like our lack of communication during it. Genuine. Like I feel like we literally sit down and...
Well, we were also like a 4-piece band.
Oh,
it's
no, 100%.
A little bit of a different dynamic. But no, but yes, exactly. It's
but like if like LowTow, like he doesn't even like, we genuinely don't talk that much like when we're recording, but I hear what he's saying like through his lyrics.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like that like, that like feeling and that like connection through like the music itself is like really important to like how cohesive like the songs come out.
There's multiple songs too where like it was like, because like normally like when we're recording or something, like when we're at his crib, usually like one of us will be like out in the living room just like watching TV or playing games or something, while the other one's doing their shit. And then I'll go in, and then how also part of my process, I have a very ugly process with how I make my music, where like I don't dress up my vocal like presets really. I'll put like auto-tune if we're gonna be singing, just so like I know I'm on key and everything, and then I'll like dial it back later. Or I'll just put like compression, EQ, like basic stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't try to make it sound studio quality. So going back and listening to like all the unmixed songs, they sound very, very ugly and like just like very garage sounding, and then I have to make it sound studio afterwards.
Yeah.
But because of this, it's a mix and match sometimes on the legibility of like what is being said, when it's in its raw form. But there's been multiple times where like he'll go do a verse and then I'll go do a verse, and like I can't really make out exactly what he's saying in the moment, just because like of like the lack of mix to it makes things hard to read. But like our vibes are so in sync all the time that like I'll go and do my bar, my 16 afterwards, and like I'll have like some like wordplay that was based off of the thing that he said previous to me, even though I didn't even hear it.
Yeah.
Type shit.
Hell yeah.
Like,
that shit is hella cool.
Yeah, I've never had that kind of just like, my brainwave is literally like fucking vibrating on the same levels as his all the time.
I love that. I love that. See, that's all about it. That's what I was saying before. It's like if you guys can work together at that level, like where it almost, you nailed it as well. Again, like without needing communication.
Yeah.
That really goes a long way. Yeah. And it's and just to kind of circle back to what it was before, it's not even that like the other people don't have that. It's that vibration wasn't the same. You know what I mean? Like you guys, it wasn't as just synergetic, harmonious, I think is a more appropriate word for there.
100%.
Yeah. We're literally both wearing Spider-Man
I was going to say,
shirts.
that was uncoordinated, by the way. They both came in and they were like, are you wearing a Spider-Man shirt? Are you wearing a Spider-Man shirt? And I'm over here like, shout out Lord Lawrence. I don't own a Spider-Man shirt. So
Lawrence,
the bit, shout out Lord Lawrence for sure. All right, but the other half of the question was, what decides a song is done? And I'm interested to know, like, is there a communication during that point? Like, what? Like, is that a point of content at all?
There on my end, I should communicate a little bit more, because
Noxious wakes up. Bro, did we just drop an album? Oh, yeah, man. I didn't even record parts for an album. Yeah, so.
Yeah, not quite to that level, but
no,
like.
I'm just having fun.
But like, I will mix a song 30 times.
Oh, yeah.
Before it's like finished. And sometimes I'll be like, fuck this whole beat, and then I'll just make a new beat and then put the vocals on top of that. And then it just clicks. So like right now I am trying my hardest, like, on top of all the other projects that I do, to like get this project that we're currently working on like all wrapped up. But there's multiple songs on it where like I thought it was done, but then I'll go back and then like I'll change 10 different little things.
Yep.
So I would say none of our songs are done, but we have a fair amount that are like at a level of presentation where like we can do them live and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I think they're done when we like both sit down and listen to it, and like just when we look at each other and we're like, okay, like this is completed. Like,
okay.
And we're both satisfied with like how it sounds and like the end production, because I 100%, like I said, like he does most of the production, so like I 100% respect his process. If he's gonna remix it like 50 times, like shit, remix it 50 times, you know what I mean? It's whatever. Like, yeah, I just want us both to be comfortable with like what we're putting out into the world.
No, that makes sense.
Beat.
And also, I mean, it's not like, it's not like you've never put anything out before.
Yeah.
So it's not like it won't come out, And I mean, I forget who I was even talking to that said this, but there's something to be said in like waiting until it's ready.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big proprietor of you should be putting stuff out. Like I preach that all the time on episodes. But again, you guys are a little more established in that you have put things out before. So now you have that opportunity, that understanding of knowing that something coming out, not just when it's done, but at the right time. You know what I mean?
It holds weight.
Yeah, there's definitely there's a strategy. You don't need to release a new single every month, but you want to release those singles when they're imperative to the rest of what they're attached to.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't exactly in the realm of the usual questions, but I'm kind of curious to know, how many singles do you think you're going to release before you put out a full body of work?
So we were discussing this recently, actually. So we have this one track that I had one of my homegirls make some cover art for.
Mm-hmm.
That's really fucking fire. So we're gonna put that out first.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have another track with our homie 2Mags.
Yeah,
Big shout out to the homie 2Mags.
Shout out to Max.
Fucking
Shout out
absolute
to
goat. Fucking
Yeah.
fucking very, very helpful to me when I first started like integrating into the scene and stuff. He like vouched for me for a lot of people, and whenever
If you want a good example of like what like he makes it look so realistic to live off making music, like for real.
Yeah.
He just makes it seem like such like an achievable goal in like not a long period of time type shit.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah, just super down to earth. Anyway, love that dude. Shout out to Max. But we got that track with him. We're thinking about putting that one out in October, and then we have a third one. We haven't quite decided which one we're gonna do yet, because like the whole point of his tape is we want to like every single song on it to be like a fucking hit.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit hard to choose because like all of them just like fucking bop. Like not to like hype ourselves up or anything, but like
I mean, that's good.
Yeah, no, we love all the tracks.
Now, how many tracks are there total, or roughly, if you don't have like a solid answer yet?
8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to release 3, so that leaves 5 unreleased that will come out with the album.
Yeah.
Do you know where they're going to be placed in the album? Like, are you trying to release like one that's early in the album, one that's middle, one towards the end, or are you trying to do like?
I have an idea of like the order for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely have an idea of what songs I would like to lead
See,
with.
that stuff is always such like it's important. Like I think like
100%.
if a lot of people put a little more time into, like I said, not releasing a single every month, but like really focusing on what's going to speak for the album, but at the same time not overplay it by the time you get to the album.
Yeah.
Because like Get Lucky's a great song, but I will never listen to it on that album. You know what I mean? Like I can't anymore.
Right.
I can't. Feel Good Inc. Same thing. I love that song to death. Can't listen to it on the album. I have to skip it every time. So like there's something to be said about putting something out that's catchy for it, but I think as long as it's meant to hype up the album, you don't want to overdo it or like oversell it and then have a Muse situation where you're like, this isn't it at all.
Right.
But I think that there's something to be said about releasing more than one single. I don't think you should put out, if you have an 8-track, I think 3 is a solid number because that still leaves more than half.
Yeah.
More than half. And I think it depending on the song, sometimes you can do cool things with the releases, like almost make the release of the singles their own like event that tie to each other in some way.
Yeah.
It's like even if the songs don't correlate per se, the presentation can.
Yeah.
So it's like people get to kind of experience this like slow burn experience as it happens.
Yeah.
So those are just some thoughts from Jimmy.
Yeah. 100%.
Now we've talked about your writing process and we've talked about kind of just the foundation for y'all. What are some things you would like to see happen in the near future? Like what are like the benchmarks? Because it sounds like you seem pretty put together as far as your process goes. So like what are some things you would want to do?
I think
next
that the biggest thing, aside from just like having the album ready or the project ready and the singles like lined up to where we know when we're gonna release them, I think we're really just trying to reach out to venues right now, to find different places to perform around Portland and like in the Washington area. Yeah, I'd say that's like our main focus is finding a venue. Yeah, where we can hold shows and where people will be willing to go out to.
Also, thinking a little further ahead, I really want to see this project go somewhere.
Well, obviously.
Right, and so I'm currently like researching more about, like marketing strategies and good places to, invest money into, to help get stuff into algorithms and all that kind of stuff. I would really like to get a place long term, like a goal within like the next 3 years. I would really like these projects to get to a place where like we are like getting passive income off of these that are substantial. I don't need to be like a fucking millionaire or anything, but like getting to a place where because we split everything 50-50. So I mean, like between a 50-50 split, we're still making enough money off of our art that like we are like comfortable. Yeah. And everything. So I'm trying to, God damn it.
Technical difficulties of the human variety.
But yeah, I have goals in mind as far as like numbers wise, like where I want to see us.
Maybe not even so much that, like, because stats are stats and like the behind the scenes, but like. Right. As like the next benchmark, like do y'all like, it sounds like playing a show, pretty big benchmark. Would you like to go on tour next year? Absolutely. Or are you trying to focus more on like growing an internet presence? Like what is like that key, like what is the next step, I guess? Like what would you consider, like if you would call this ground floor, what would you decide brings you up to level 1?
I would definitely say tour. Definitely tour is like the idea, but the main idea is like streams, I think, is mainly where we're looking to like have our main source of income passively come from. We've been doing some research, like we have some ideas. We're gonna try out some things, play around with the algorithm a little bit and see.
Hell yeah.
See if we can make something happen.
Definitely for like local shows and stuff, we're gonna be pretty active throughout this year and next year. Touring in of itself, especially if you're like financing it yourself, is just like a massive undertaking.
Yep.
And it's really just going to depend on how well these ideas of ours play out. Yeah. If we get a big enough presence happening, like
I think you mean when.
Yeah.
When you get a big enough presence happening.
When we get that presence,
Manifest, baby. Manifest.
Yeah. And that will determine, like when
obviously
it's like.
Then we'll focus on merch and stuff like that. We'll branch out to different ideas and stuff.
Now, see, and that's interesting because I've been told from a lot of people that merch is usually a good first approach. Because it's, and that not giving away any trade secrets, I hope, but the mentality behind merch is that it's tangible, which means passive promotion. Anybody who wears your shirt, everybody who they pass with eyeballs that work will be able to see the shirt. But it's also something that people expect the price point already to be at a certain point, and that is still a good margin for what it usually costs to make decent ones.
Okay. That's something to think about.
Yeah, so that, and then like stickers are a big one. Stickers with like QR codes as the back label, not like part of the sticker itself, is something that's really helpful because those you can give away for free. For the people who don't have money, they leave with something tangible. Yeah. I think we spend so much time in the realm of social medias, in the realm of streams, in the realm of algorithms. We forget that tangible things still matter, like pins, 100%. As silly as they seem, pins pins are a cool thing.
Yeah.
Like people want, like if you have something small you can give for free and something large you can sell, then you can kind of gauge the crowd response afterwards based on how many people come for a thing in general.
I think right now the idea is to like maximize the amount of output and promotion we can get in the most cost effective way we can.
Yeah.
So merch hasn't really been like a super number one idea for us.
I think it spans variety though.
And
Like you shouldn't have
100%.
100 things.
100%.
And even if you don't go shirts, posters.
No, yeah, for
Like
sure.
you can do things where it's like signed posters, you know, you spent like $50 to print out like 100 of them, but you sell them for $5 a piece.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Letters,
Like-
lanyards,
Yeah.
like little things like that for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, but
100%.
Well, that's 100%. Yeah, something to think about. I think if we hit the point, when we hit the point
Boom, there we go.
where touring is like financially feasible, that is something that will
Well,
definitely take more of
by
a
the time you
precedent.
tour, you'll have to have merch.
Right.
That's the only way that works half the time.
100%,
Yeah,
100%.
that's how you'll get that money that will pay for your gas and food
Yeah.
while you're touring.
And that will definitely take more of like a mandatory precedent.
Yeah.
But for now, I guess we're just gonna just play it how we feel.
Hell
It's
yeah.
like
I think that my idea going into it, and especially honestly, very much shout out to Mags. I like really do look up to him a lot. But I think that my idea was I wanted to get us to a point where we were comfortable enough off our streams that we could reinvest that money into ourselves and into our merch. And have that come first, because that's just what I've seen on my end, and that's just how like 2Mags has like shown me like how to like move forward. But yeah,
for sure.
Hell yeah. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do it.
no,
So,
I mean there's like,
I mean, and the biggest
there's no
thing,
cookie cutter way to go about.
the most important thing, the number one thing, if you're gonna have nothing else, you should have music.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, like, you know, it's smart to, like, not even, like, actively start performing until you have a body of work. Like, if you're
100%.
playing shows off of one single, like, you can go that route if you're, like, planning on dumping stuff out soon. But, like, if you perform multiple songs, you should have multiple songs.
Yeah.
And it's always good to put something out for people to go to after they see you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is having like a song that they can listen to after they've seen you.
You know,
so
I
they
wish
don't forget
that-
about you.
I wish that people didn't put such a big focus on it having to be the most professional thing for the first thing you put out ever.
Yeah.
I feel that I'm in a constant battle with myself over this
Yeah.
mentality, is because like I have and literally all of my big homies tell me, you know, don't trip about numbers, don't trip about streams, don't trip about, you know,
Yeah,
like who's like listening
absolutely.
to you, and just make the art and put it out. And like that's how they got to where they are. But like I have multiple homies who are like internationally successful,
Yeah.
who are like getting like movie deals and like just like doing crazy tours and linking with Cole Bennett and all this like crazy shit. And I'm just here, you know. It's super bittersweet because I love to see my friends thrive, but I'm just, and it motivates me, and it also makes me feel like shit that like I am not, because we all started from the same place, but like no one moves the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a race. But when you have that kind of in your face, it's like I listen to their tracks, and they're so fucking just beautifully produced. I'm just like, I want to be there. I want to sound like that. Like, not like stylistically, but like with that kind of production, I want to be there.
Yeah.
And like,
But do they all do their production?
they don't, you know.
See,
I
no.
know. I understand that part.
Yeah.
But it's like, I want to be like, it's like, I have so much work that I believe in it.
Yeah.
And I want to give it the treatment that it deserves. Like, I don't want to put out a tape or an album that like doesn't have like that sauce to it.
Yeah.
Where like I could go back, you know, 5 years from now and like listen to it and be like, ugh. Like,
But do you think, and this is oh man, I wish I could remember who I brought this episode up on, or who I mentioned this on for. There was somebody who a few episodes back, they were talking about how they wanted to be more like are you familiar with like Mark Ripley?
Not really.
Okay, he plays many things and he like loops them all. He does all this and he like does it all at once, like very like. But even like his format is small.
Yeah,
yeah.
I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the loop daddy himself.
Yeah.
But this guy was like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do all these things. I want to do all that. And I'm like, well, do you know how to do any of them? He's like, yeah, I know how to do this one and this one, but I need to learn the other 4. And I'm like, are you going to have more fun once you get to that point? And he's like, well, and I'm like, would it be more fun if you got to do like the 2 things you do plus the 1 thing and then brought in another person who did the other 3 things? So then you not only had this point of communication when you needed it, but you also had somebody who was thinking about 3 of the things. So you only had to think about 3 and not 6. So you actually got to enjoy the 2 things you already love doing, plus you still had the opportunity to learn with the 1. I think that, and you already said it in your project yourself, you approach this very differently than you do as LowTow. You know, you come into it guns a-blazing, you come off the cuff and you do all that. That is so un-LowTow, like that's so new element that I think that if you're putting too much time towards the perfection of what it sounds like after, you're already separating yourself in all these ways. And we love, like as musicians and as, you know, producers equivocally, we love the process. But I think sometimes there's something important that comes from letting go of certain steps, specifically so that you only look at yourself in this project as the member of the group that you are. And so it's like, it's not questioning your abilities. It's taking away from focusing on that element of it. So I think, you know, that you could have more time to be, you know, creating that persona, creating that vibe, that element of the group. And so, you know, like, and again, I'm not telling you to do or not do anything, but I think that you are good enough at production. Nobody questions that. It's very obvious. Everybody's very aware of you as a producer. You working with somebody else just means that you in this project can thrive to this new level of you that people are going to not expect. They're going to be like, oh, fuck. Like, not only does this sound different because we're so used to LowTow production, which is good, but there are still different goods. But somebody else is now going to only ever know you as that sound, and that production becomes a part of you that gets brought out in a way that maybe you could never have even heard because you've heard you a million times. So that's something to consider, just because it allows you to succeed and excel in the role that you're presenting yourself as. Yeah. Like, you want to be the performer, you can't be behind the decks as well. So somebody's going to have to present your music when you're live anyway. So I think having a producer in the mix just to let you be free to perform that role that you clearly are enjoying. Like, you two have a good dynamic just automatically. Like, I usually don't run this long on people's episodes, but I really just want to step in on this one and be like, look, if you can hand that to somebody else, like, don't be too proud. There are so many good producers in the world. You will not be hurt if you work with somebody who is good. But it will give you a new opportunity to go untethered. You will be able to go just full on into this role that you're creating for yourself that you seem to enjoy.
That's an awesome thinking point. Honestly, that really is. Just because, that's like, I feel like there is a level of like, it's, I don't want to say it's like ego, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like that, like, we're doing all of our own stuff, but like also like it would be nice if you could like let up a little bit on that.
No, yeah, 100%. I mean, like, this is just like how we've always done it.
Yeah, no.
Well, I mean, letting go is like when I had to switch to having Cameron do the audio editing. Like, for the very first few, I was like, all right, well, let's sit down, let's talk about like, and then I realized, there are a lot of things that I've been doing that like I gave a shit about that really didn't seem to be as important. Once I heard his versions back and I listened through, and I was like, oh shit. There were so many extra things that I was doing because I cared so much about every second.
Yeah.
What he cared about was the totality of the project.
Yeah.
He didn't care about every sentence. He cared about the beginning, the middle, and the end. And that's what's important. Like, we on the inside have an inability to separate ourselves completely. It will never happen.
Yeah.
And sometimes that separation is what's important, because people who are dedicated producers, their job is to listen and to produce, you know what I mean? Or not even produce, but like an engineer.
Right.
Their job is to hear the things that are supposed to be the best parts of it and bring it out.
Yeah.
And if it's somebody that you've heard stuff before and you like how they do that, then you know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to decide if, you know, the internet is basically tattoo books for producers now. You can go and decide if you like someone's style long before you have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
So I think just it would bring it to a new level. Like, I think that's something that you guys should consider, just because that's a step up. And like, you don't physically need that person there all the time per se, but you may find that third element, you know what I mean? And then that person becomes the person DJing. And then suddenly your beats are DJed by the person who produced them. So they know all the nuances, all the moments, and then your performance excels to this new level, because not only are they going to do that, they're going to know when you do certain moves or certain things that you do every time, and they're going to be able to accent that.
Yeah, and there is a handful of time that we've worked with other producers, like Frankie over at like Page Street.
Shout out Frankie and Page Street.
Yeah, shout out Frankie and
Page
Page
Street. Yeah. Shout out everybody.
Yeah.
Shout out everybody.
Nah, but yeah, no. I think it is definitely nice to be able to like take the reins off like a little bit.
Yeah, those are all really good points. You know,
Yeah, and just, like I said, something to consider from one producer and musician to another producer and musician.
100%.
Yeah.
No, I would like to actually like tap in with, is it Diddy Jameson?
No, yeah, I would love to tap in with Diddy. I would love to like work
Sorry,
with him in his studio.
you turned away from the mic.
Oh shit. One producer I'm thinking of right now actually is Diddy Jameson.
Okay.
He's very, very talented, super down to earth, cool dude. Every time I see him, we were like, we gotta work, you know.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
Well, there you go. We'll go ahead and make that happen then.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we tangented so far that I'm pretty sure we've covered artist focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now let's jump into some hypothetical questions. Let's have fun with these. And y'all can either answer together or individually. These are pretty open-ended ones. And you're pretty familiar with these ones, I believe. So this will be more for you. But if y'all could work with and you know what? Actually, I'm going to make this two versions. One you answer separately, one you answer together.
Ooh, I like that.
If you could work with any one artist individually, and they have to be currently alive, who would you pick? But then if you could add one artist to the group, like any famous person who's currently alive, you get anybody in. And I guess you would still have to answer them separately, but who would you want to add in as the third?
That's a great question.
But let's answer the first part first. If you could work with any one person as an individual, who would you work with?
If I could work with any one person and actually like work with them closely, I would really, really want to work with Trippie Redd.
Okay.
Honestly, I think that he's like a really good musician. He like really cares about how he like presents himself, and his vocals. I just really like his vocal range. Yeah.
I love Trippie Redd.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Trippie.
If I could work with any one artist closely, as an individual, it would be Denzel Curry.
Okay.
That's just my fucking dude, man.
Yep.
He's
Yeah.
fucking
Yep.
so talented.
Yep.
Massive inspiration.
We don't take kindly to threats. We don't take.
All right. Now, who would y'all each add as the third member?
My vote would probably be like, maybe like Yeet. Just
Okay.
cause like,
Goddamn.
because I mean, that would just be fucking crazy.
That would just be fucking crazy. I was thinking like, honestly, hear me out.
Hi.
Doo-Wop Kane
Okay.
or Nutso Thuggin.
I'm familiar with Doo-Wop Kane. I don't know
Yeah.
that other guy.
Yeah, same.
Nutso Thuggin. He's like it's like the same thing as you know Slime Cedo. Yeah, it's like that Slime Cedo shit.
Okay. Interesting.
They be on the like Atlanta drill, like the whispers.
Okay.
That shit is hard. The whisper rap, that shit is hard.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, bet. Well, yeah, like I said, never gotten to ask that one before, so thanks for playing along with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, subsequently, who's like a local artist that y'all think would be like a cool feature on a song? And if you already have features on your album, don't say those names. We'll keep those secret.
Yeah. Cool artist. I mean, that's a little bit hard.
It's hard because like we already like
Unless you've already featured everybody,
worked
yeah.
with a lot of, because like I'm in like GSRs still,
Oh, gotcha.
which is like a lot of fucking heads in the music scene around here, and I've worked with a lot of people. LowTow's worked with a lot of people. We all used to go to the same like house where it's like 20 musicians. You know what I mean?
So yeah, so you
And
just
it's like
you have worked
we've
with
all
everybody
hung out
yeah.
together and like done that kind of shit, and like I can't really think of a local artist that like.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Lord Lawrence would be cool. I would do a feature with Lord Lawrence.
Oh.
I've never worked with Lord Lawrence before. I think
yeah, that'd
that's
be cool.
one of the few people.
Oh yeah. Well, I know Lord Lawrence watches the show, so make it happen. I don't put it in the comments.
we could
If
do it.
everybody wants a Lord Lawrence feature, put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now, this one, I guess you guys will have to answer separately. I was really hoping these would be more collaborative, but they're kind of individual thought points. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access, you wouldn't have to worry about power, stability, where would you perform?
Does it have to be a place that already exists?
Yes. Yes, a real place.
Damn it. Because I was just thinking about this question when Luna answered it, and I had like,
Shout out Noctis Luna.
shout out Noctis Luna, that's my baby. I just had a dream about a place that was like amazing. That would have been an amazing place to perform at, but it doesn't exist.
I still want to hear it, though.
Yeah. What's
Well,
the place?
Yeah, because you can't just leave. I had a dream about this badass place, but we don't have to talk about that. That's fine.
Well,
That's fine.
I
That's
had
fine.
I had a dream that I owned a nightclub, and it was a giant pool that was like 40 feet deep, and there was like these like special like face mask rebreather things so people could breathe underwater, and the floor was made of speakers, and it was made of special speakers that like the artist would send in special mixes that would be played out of these special speakers so that the audio quality sounded like it was being perfectly clear.
This is
like,
the most producer
Yeah.
dream I've ever heard.
I
in
know.
my fucking life.
So it sounds like perfectly clear above, but like because it's in the water, like the bass is vibrating the water, so like you felt like the pulse of the music so much more intensely than you would, and you
That's
felt
so
it through your
cool.
whole body because like you're being conducted in the
That's nutty. That would
And,
be
like,
cool as fuck.
Yeah, ever
Like,
since I had that dream, I was like, man, like I don't know what I gotta do to make this a reality.
ridiculous
But
amount of
if
money.
that's like even like physically possible, but if it is, that's like,
Damn.
that's a passion of mine to make that.
That's a
So,
cool idea.
Yeah, so like,
That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I love that.
yeah. So if I could, it would be that. But if we're talking about places that actually exist and are real, probably the Moda Center. I feel
Okay.
like for any like Portland artist, to when you reach the point where you're performing at the Moda Center, that's like a major milestone.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All
I
right.
would say
Well,
like definitely the Moda Center or like somewhere like Terminal 5 in like New York City would be cool. Just to, like go back to where I like live
Yeah.
and like perform there. That'd be sick.
surprised you wouldn't pick Madison Square Garden.
I don't want to say it sounds too mainstream. 'cause
No.
it doesn't sound like a dick.
No. Also, it's definitely a weird spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know if I could do an all the way around me stage like that.
That seems kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're that big that you're filling an all the way around you stage, you can plan it. But like,
You're just so narcissistic. You just think of
Well, there's
yourself
gotta-
the entire time.
I feel bad that there's gonna be somebody that has to be like behind the drummer. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't get to
Yeah.
see like that you don't get to see that full performance, even if you're like not in the best. You know, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Not the same. But that's just that's just me. If I were a big famous musician, I would love an arena show.
Yeah.
They,
I would love
uh,
to do a Coliseum show. That'd be sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Only one person has ever said the Roman Coliseum.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised by that. That seemed like a go-to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like-
That's definitely like one of those, like, I feel like those childhood. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, like it's literally it was made for performances with large
Yeah.
amounts of people. And the only thing that sucks about it now is that, they're not very stable. So they can't hold a bunch of people. But like if they could,
Yeah, that'd be tight.
that'd be a vibe for sure.
That'd be wild.
For sure.
Especially the power of just fucking performing over all those dead gladiators.
Yeah.
You have to get some sort of
gotta
like
get
spiritual energy from that. I don't know.
Yeah, right. There's something there for sure.
Yeah.
I'm performing that sex dungeon beneath that pizza shop in Washington, D.C. everyone's talking about.
Perfect. There you go. See, that's an abstract spot for sure. It's standing room only. Whether you like it or not. All right, we've got one last hypothetical question, and you know what? Again, this can be single or group or both. If you had to pick a completely different genre than any genre you've ever done before, so if you've done like a cross-genre one, you can't pick either of those, and you would be equally as proficient as you are in your primary one now, what would you pick? And I'm kind of curious, what would the group change to if you guys had to agree on one? So let's do individual and together.
As an individual, I'd probably transition into like EDM, trap and bass,
Okay.
like the kind of stuff. I used to be managed by a EDM artist, and just like watching him perform and everything was really cool, and the kind of massive crowds that you get to perform for and everything. It's like if you can like make a name for yourself in that place, it's like a very, very cool performance oriented position to find yourself in. Just like the stage production for a lot of like big
hell yeah.
EDM are so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'd be
I
fun.
know. Especially like Excision and shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were fucking hard as fuck.
Hell yeah.
That's actually funny as fuck. That's what I would say dubstep, honestly. Yeah,
Okay.
I know if I wanted to like jump into something else other than rap, I would
Okay.
say EDM as well, just because I've always wanted to just
Yeah.
just over a large group of people.
Well, I think we just decided what y'all would pick as a group.
Alternative.
We're going to do indie and folk.
I think we've both been in hardcore bands, but I think a hardcore band would probably be the other.
Yeah, that would be fucking fun
That
as
would be
fuck.
fun as fuck.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's just the 3 more people I don't want to add to the equation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If none of those things, just say maybe like Narco Corrido band.
Okay.
I don't know Spanish, but we'll learn.
You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out.
I would love that.
Perfect. All right. We're going to officially start wrapping it up.
For sure.
Why don't you guys go ahead and tell us about what you have coming up in the future, say like end of September and onwards.
For sure. So we have a single that we're going to be putting out soon in September. Don't have the exact release date yet, but we know it's going to be in September. So keep your eyes peeled for that. It's called Nightosphere.
Nightosphere. Adventure Time reference.
Yeah, shouts out Adventure Time.
Shout out Adventure Time.
And then that is a single that is going on to an EP called City of Thieves, and that
Adventure Time reference.
yeah,
Two
another
times.
2
Hell
times
yeah.
Adventure Time reference. And then that she'll be releasing in December.
And it is a mix of hyper trap and funk and
okay.
another genre that I actually do not know how to describe yet.
I love that.
But we've done some interesting stuff.
I love that. Well, everybody will get to describe it when they hear it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. And then for the next one, keep looking at the camera. And then let's do it this way. Each of you give your individual @s and then pause for a second so that magically changes on the screen below you. And then give us the like group @ and then how they can find y'all.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What's up? I'm Knox. You can find me on Instagram and all platforms at Ikigai, IKIGAI.Knox. All platforms.
Oh, that's NOX, by the way.
NOX, yes.
And then on my Instagram, you can find me at Hello LowTow, and then just LowTow on SoundCloud and Spotify and like all other music platforms. And then hollow.world.
Oh, yeah. _hollow.world_ on Instagram and Twitter. And you can find us on SoundCloud right now. And we are going to be releasing our first single on Spotify and all platforms as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now we've got one last question to go. I'm super excited for this one. What is your guilty pleasure songs?
For me, there's an artist named Etienne Sin. It was I don't know, it was like black and Egyptian or something, but a person of color for sure, which was rare to find in melodic hardcore in the early days. But he has phenomenal vocal range. He's a very, very talented singer. But he is so painfully fucking raw XD, fucking 2010 MySpace emo. And the range that he sings in is also very, very high. To the point a lot of people find it pretty cringe. I definitely, when I first heard it, I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I kept listening to it because I was just like, I couldn't wrap my head around what I was listening to. And then I reached the point where I accepted it, where I was like, this is the most amazing shit I ever heard in my life.
Well, at least you went full circle.
I did. He has a song specifically. I can't, it's just one of those super long emo ass names. It's like, heart, or ships carved like hearts, or some shit like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
every time
We all know.
every time I listen to that song, I'm just like, God damn, this is a fucking masterpiece.
I love that. All right. Knox, what do you got?
Yeah, probably just like, I don't know if you ever heard of DJ Surreal. It's like nightcore. it's just like the Pika, like,
Yeah.
you know, my pretty rave girl.
Yeah.
Like, kind of vibe. So
Damn,
it's really cringy. It's just fast. Like,
I never would have took you for a nightcore. Dude.
yeah, just nightcore is definitely my guilty pleasure.
Shout out nightcore though.
Shout out nightcore.
Fuck
Yeah.
all these fucking TikTok version motherfuckers out here. Nightcore, bitch.
Yeah, and fuck the nightcore haters too, honestly.
For real.
Hell yeah. All right, y'all. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Really
for having
appreciate
us.
you. All right, we're going to go ahead and get up on out of here. This has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy,
We're a hollow world.
Yeah.
and we're signing off later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.